Good morning, everyone. It's good to see you all this morning. This morning, we are going to jump back into our facials, part two of facials. Couple of things I wanted to just reiterate. Remember, we introed into it on Monday and Tuesday, which was yesterday. We talked about some of the benefits. We looked at some of the things that had to be explored when creating a product, particularly for facial services. Okay, and so I talked to Paquetta about a do-it-yourself. Um, was it hair growth oil and a serum, and then also Tara talked about creating a do-it-yourself rose water, which is rose toner, which can be used at different things. It was good that we had an opportunity to learn the benefits of those and how you can use those products outside of what you're initially making them for. Number two, since we have someone on that's preparing for state board, I am going to go back to the PSI exam to show what parts of skincare you need to study. Okay, so I want to make sure I cover that for Teresa, who's come on, and thank you for coming on, Teresa. And so we're going to jump right into a video, and then I'm going to show the PSI, and then I'm going to show you where to find some of the items and just to prepare you for the exam. The key is to make it as easy as possible, okay? Our job is not to make it hard, but the instructor is supposed to find a way to make it easy as possible. So we always revert back to the PSI, and you're always going to measure the PSI with what your portal has, okay? So whatever PSI telling you, this is where the questions are going to come from. You need to go and find it in your ebook, find it in your study material in the portal, and that's what you're going to be studying majority of. I also want to say, if you are finished, just say with the theory and you're preparing a test, you are making sure that you're going into the slide presentations, doing every practice quiz, every check-in question, and the terms. Those are going to be key for you with certain chapters. And I review those particular chapters so you're not wasting the time in chapters you're not going to see any questions from. All right. And so let's, it's check-in time. Let's turn it over. I already have the screen up for the first video. We're going to probably do 2 videos, and then we'll go into our PSI. This video is
In this video, let's review the steps for preparing your treatment room. It's the start of a new day, and you have a few leftover items to do before your first client arrives. Once you become familiar with the process, it should take about 10 to 15 minutes to complete. Preparing your room or station ahead of each client will avoid any confusion or stress that could occur during a treatment. Go over the daily schedule, the client's chart, and intake form on file if this is a repeat client. If you have a new client, tell the receptionist to give the client an intake form to fill out when they arrive. Wash your hands with soap and water before touching any supplies. Now let's begin by looking at the furniture you will need in your treatment room. The treatment table or facial chair should be adjustable so you can work comfortably without straining your body, especially your back. The stool should also be adjustable and roll around easily, reducing any strain when reaching for supplies or implements. When working with a client, adjust the stool so that your waist is level with the treatment table to avoid neck and back strain. A step stool for the client, a utility cart or trolley, and a magnifying lamp should also be readily accessible. A handheld mirror may also come in handy prior to or after a treatment. The steamer should be maintained according to the manufacturer's recommendations, which may include certain types of water and specific cleaning instructions. Check the steamer water level and preheat if using. Place distilled water into the designated container through the fill opening in the top. Check that it is not too full and is level with the maximum fill line. A towel warmer will keep your towels warm. When using the warmer, the towels should be wet but not dripping when placed inside. If waxing is part of the service, the wax heater should be kept on during the workday, just in case you get an unexpected request or a walk-in. A sharps disposal container is a puncture-proof biohazard container for disposal of all used lancets, syringes, needles, or other sharp objects. A closed, covered petal trash can for disposal of single-use items and a laundry hamper should be available for used linens. A binder for safety data sheets, or SDS, should always be kept in the treatment room or on a computer for easy access. Remember, they are informational forms regarding every skincare product. During each treatment, you will be using single and multi-use supplies and implements. Single-use or disposable items include gauze, cotton wipes, sponges, and wooden spatulas. These items must be discarded after each use. Set up your trolley with these supplies, kept in closed containers, in the order you will use them on a clean towel, or cover them with a towel until ready for use. Check your chapter for the complete list of everything you need. Dispense only the amount of product you will need for the service, into disposable cups for instance. Multi-use items including tweezers, scissors, and extractors. These items are made of steel and must be cleaned and disinfected or ideally sterilized.
Let's see what's going on. I was hoping we didn't have any internet glitches considering the rain. Come on, come back. There we go.
Everything you need. Dispense only the amount of product you will need for the service, into disposable cups for instance. Multi-use items including tweezers, scissors, and extractors. These items are made of steel and must be cleaned and disinfected.
Okay, y'all. I guess we got some connection issues. Let's see what we get. Put a one in the chat if you can hear me. Am I frozen? Let's go to the chat. Okay. It's just the computer or the internet. All right, we'll pause and move on to our next thing. How about I just share that in the group? Share that video in the group. So let's see what we have next. Okay, so here we got our product labeling. And let's label some of these products so we'll know. We stopped off on equipment on Monday. So let's just pick back up right here, make sure we're all good with equipment. And another thing we talked about just adding or enhancing your menu from not just doing hair, but doing skin also. And in doing that, we need to also understand that the same equipment or the same feel that you will want to have to keep you comfortable is also going to be the same notion you'll take into your manicure chair if you want it to be comfortable, your table if you choose to do manicuring, and then also if you choose to do facials, what are the equipment that's going to make you comfortable. And so let's look at some of the items. Okay. It says traditional stool and ergonomic stool. Okay, ergonomic is more so something that fits you, that is customized, your seating, customized to your posture. And so most of the time, ergonomic stools do cost more. And then you have also the flat stools. And so when you think about traditional stools, this is what we would say would be traditional. This is what we would say would be ergonomic. Okay. Hydraulic treatment table, treatment chair, or portable treatment table. Okay. So when you think about portable, what do you guys think? Which one of these could be moved easily? This is a table, this is a table, and this is a table. Which one would you call portable, or the one that can be moved around? Is it this one? Okay, yes. There you go. Okay. Hydraulics has a pump on it, and this is a traditional treatment chair. Okay. Let's see. Let's check our answers. 5 for 5. So we got 5 for 5 correct. All right. And you'll probably see that in your flashcards as well. Let's look at these labeling: ultrasonic spatula, waxing, heaters, rotary brush, and facial steamer. All right. So here, first one, facial steamer. The second one is a rotary brush. You plug, most of the time you'll plug the rotary brush into a component that has, it's called 8-in-1, 9-in-1. Sometimes people will just do the 4-in-1, but it's all your machines together in one a rollabout. Okay. For me, purchasing all your pieces together, usually when one goes out, the rest of them kind of trickle down. And so that's why I choose not to purchase them together. But if you have limited space, I would say don't purchase like a 15-in-1 if you don't have a warranty behind it. Start off with, if you're going to open a skin shop anyway, you got to have at least a steamer and a hot freeze. Okay. So most people do start out, and a mag light. Most people do start out with like a 4-in-1. Okay. Yeah, most people start out. What is this? This little mark is still on my stuff. Hold on, let me stop sharing. Okay, so we should be back. Okay, and then we have our waxing heaters. We know exactly what that is, and ultrasonic spatula. Let's check and make sure. Yeah, so in Tennessee, you're gonna open up a skin shop. You gotta at least have a 4-in-1, a mag light, a steamer. Um, what else is it? A high frequency one, and I think it's a rotary brush. So it's like a 4-in-1 that starts you out, and you can just start adding pieces on top of it, or just buy one that has all of your pieces together. They even have them that has microdermabrasion connected to it as well. Let's see. So we've already completed labeling of the equipment. Once I get over to this video, this is our second video, then we'll move over to PSI and the ebook. Let's pray this rolls all the way through. This is treatment for sensitive skin and rosacea.
A sensitive, common skin condition called rosacea, a vascular disorder that causes swelling, papules, pustules, and distended capillaries known as telangiectasia, is prone to chronic redness and can be treated similarly to other types of sensitive skin. A soothing gel mask can greatly tone down redness and calm your client's skin. Any kind of heat is contraindicated in this skin condition as it increases blood flow to the surface of the skin, which can further exaggerate capillary damage as well as further break down an already compromised skin barrier. To complete the specialized treatment for sensitive skin, you may apply a gentle toner, followed by a moisturizing cream infused with lipids and non-irritating sunscreen.
It can be great one time today.
A sensitive, common skin condition called rosacea, a vascular disorder that causes swelling, papules, pustules, and distended capillaries known as telangiectasia, is prone to chronic redness and can be treated similarly to other types of sensitive skin. A soothing gel mask can greatly tone down redness and calm your client's skin. Any kind of heat is contraindicated in this skin condition as it increases blood flow to the surface of the skin, which can further exaggerate capillary damage as well as further break down an already compromised skin barrier. To complete the specialized treatment for sensitive skin, you may apply a gentle toner, followed by a moisturizing cream infused with lipids and non-irritating sunscreen.
All right. So that was our second video. And going to our PSI components at this time. And there's not a lot PSI on skincare, but I do want to reference, you're gonna have questions from the procedure, and I want to show you that, and then come back and show you in your portal where you can find those answers. Okay. All right. So when we get to our PSI Cosmo, all right, you are going to have 6% skincare, product chemistry safety, and then procedures. So you need to make sure you study skin analysis, facial chemicals, which is your products, and then also facial massage and tools and devices. Okay. When we talk about safety, we're always talking about gloves and how we protect the client. So we'll make sure that's going to be our major focus for those who are concentrating for the board right now. When you look in skincare, you're going to have 6 questions: product chemistry safety, and these are the procedures. You need to study the procedures, okay? We just came out of hair removal, and for if you're coming in and hair removal, you're going to have 4 questions, and it's mainly going to be on waxing, your safety procedures for waxing, and temperature controls for waxing, all right? After we finish this chapter, we're moving to makeup. You'll have 2 questions about application. Okay. One is about infection control, and the other is about eyelash extensions. So you of all this, you're gonna have of all your time in Cosmo, you only got 1 question on eyelashes. All right. So Teresa, I want to see you focus this week on the skincare component. Read that particular chapter, and also we go back to PSI, and you got 6 questions. Okay, so now I'm gonna show you where to find that and where to find the study for these 6 these areas. And I like to hone in on how everybody studies, simply because everybody studies different, you know. And what works for one doesn't work for everybody. And so once you come to your portal, once you come into your portal, go into cosmetology. Okay. You go all the way down to facials, chapter 18. And the first thing was product chemistry safety. Product chemistry safety. So you're definitely going to make sure you do your videos. Um, the videos and see these procedures. It says facial procedure, facial procedure. Okay. Those are procedures that you're going to want to study. Anything that says procedure, I want you to study. There is a component about massage. All right. So anything related to massage, especially the manipulations, you need to study. All right. So videos and procedures, client intake forms, consultations, also an area. You're going to study that for each chapter. And pretty much all of it says procedure 18.1. This is basic facial, which it shows you every video, every part of the facial broken down into the short video. You will be studying that. When it comes to procedure for massage, studying that. Procedure for facial for dry skin, studying that. Procedure for facial and oily skin, studying that. Okay, so it will come down to procedures and videos. Right here, where it says chapter 18, facial procedures, rubrics, and videos, I want you to click that. But I'm thinking all of that should be in one thing, okay? review the following facial procedures, rubrics, and videos. And so anything from that component down, that's what we're studying. All right. We want to make sure you keep an eye on those particular areas. All right. Make sure we keep an eye on those areas. Let me go back to PSI, product chemistry, safety. So when we're talking about what products to use, okay, skincare products, facial treatment and care products, this is going to be an area. So facial treatment and care products, that's going to be an area study in your ebooks. From there, you're going to move into procedures, okay? So we just outlined a complete study PSI for skincare, and it is going to be product chemistry and safety. All right, so I just showed you products. You may want to go into the ebook and highlight those particular areas. Facial treatment and care products. All right, facial treatment and care products. That's what you're going to look for in the ebook as a headline. And then everything else is going to be procedure based. So you're going to make sure you finish reading a chapter, and then you're going to hone in on your procedures. Okay. You do have a question about tool safety, tool and device safety. Okay. Tool and device safety. So we just talked about equipment. Okay. And we'll probably and when you get to advanced topics, machines, you may have one or two questions from that area. But light therapy, all of this equipment that we're talking about, please make sure you review that as well. That's going to be your key concentration for skincare. That's where your 6 questions are going to come from. Procedures, including massage, product chemistry, okay? And then also when it comes to machine safety, those are going to be key areas to study. All right. So to make sure we're doing that, we're getting that done. I'm going to move into the ebook a little further because our videos are kind of messing up. I'm not going to hold you long today. I just really wanted to jump in and do a part 2. We stopped off on equipment. And so the match it is a really good component with equipment. Okay. You're able to know what's inside of the treatment room. So make sure you're referencing the match it, and also you're referencing the flashcards. All right, the match it and the flashcards. Let's look at the table of contents. Now we did talk, let's move to skin types and common, yeah, because we talked equipment. Okay, today we're on lesson objective 4. I want to make sure y'all can see the page. It's telling me you can't see the page, so hold on. All right. So today what I want to leave you with is skin types and common skin conditions. All right. With facials, we have one more week on the facials, and then we'll move on to another chapter. But skin types and common skin conditions. Remember, guys, we're highlighting yellow for study preferences, and anything you see bold is going to be significant to you to understanding the questions on the exam. So when we think of skin type, in aesthetics, their skin type is used 2 different ways. One, to determine the amount of melanin you have and how the sun relates to your melanin, okay? 2, when it comes, and we call that Fitzpatrick's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, so on and so on. So it goes up to 6. And then we have skin types also that talks about the type of skin. Okay. Many individuals will be confused and say there are 5 skin types. No, there are 4 skin types. Okay. And the skin types are normal, dry, oily, and combination. Those are your 4 skin types. What's misconstrued sometimes is the fifth, what they think is a skin type, but it's a condition, and that is sensitive skin. So sensitive skin is a condition, and it can be normal skin type with sensitive skin, dry skin type with sensitive skin, oily with sensitive, or combination with sensitive. So sensitive is not a skin type, it is a condition, and it can be attached to any of these skin types, okay? And so I want you to keep in mind what's normal, dry, oily, and combination. You probably already have a good understanding of oily skin and combination skin, but let's look at some of the signs of this particular skin type, normal skin. Pore distribution. Pore is the follicle, okay? Throughout the skin, very soft, smooth, lacks fine lines, wrinkles, has no greasy films or flaky skin, and few, if any, blemishes. That's normal skin. Okay. Usually they will have no skin conditions, no eczema, no dehydration, no sensitivities. This is normal skin. Okay. Dry skin. The pores are very small, not visible. Now, this is the difference between dry and oily skin. There's one major difference, and I need y'all to really, really understand this. Dry skin, the pores are small, okay? Oily skin, the pores enlarge, they're larger, okay? The oil that is secreted into the follicle expands the pore. So with dry skin, it doesn't secrete enough oil to expand the pore. So dry skin has very small or pores. They may or may not be visible to the naked eye. Okay, that's dry skin. And then oily skin is an excessive amount of sebum. Okay, and it can have shiny skin, and the pores are large. This is where the danger comes in when acne, you talk about acne and pimples, because the larger the pore is going to hold that oil into that pore. The large, so the more, I guess, the more productive the oil gland is. The more productive the oil gland is, it secretes more oil. And in order for the pores to hold it, it has to expand. So this is where oily skin, you can see that pores kind of enlarge a little bit. That's because it enlarges to hold that extra oil that's coming in. All right. And so when you have a pore that's holding extra oil, and you also have dirt, you have bacteria that's being picked up, it sits on the skin. Naturally, you got stuff accumulating. When these things mix together, they can cause a bacteria. And bacteria, of course, your skin reaction is going to be inflammation, pimples, things of that nature. So you got to keep the skin, the pores clean, still lubricated but clean, because it's a breeding ground for acne. Okay. And so most times when you see many individuals with certain grades of acne, they have oily skin. So anyone that has oily skin, if you don't want to get acne, please make sure we are going to the esthetician or going to the cosmetologist in the state, making sure we are balancing that oily skin by removing excess oil. Okay. A good clay mask when this person is having a facial is going to be amazing, because the clay is going to soak up the oil and attempt to tighten the pores. It's going to tighten the pores. All right. So look at dry. Pores are very small or not visible to the naked eye. Skin appears dull and flaky, feels rough, thin, and tight to the touch. Okay. Skin dehydrates. All right. It's water. You're losing water. All right. Easily due to poor sebum. So the oil is not being produced, and so now we're losing the water that our skin holds in. Okay. This can cause fine lines, wrinkles, and a lack of elasticity, which means the skin starts to sag and wrinkles come in on dry skin because it's losing its water, it's losing the things that make it plump. Okay. So with dry, you got to make sure you have you're moisturized, you're lubricated, but also you need to make sure your client is drinking water. We use about 70 most activities we use about 70% water. So we got to make sure our clients are replenishing that water because already there's a lack of oil, which also could lead to just dryness and lack of water in the skin. Oily, excessive lipid, that's oil production. Yeah, shiny skin, large pores, skin appears thick and rough. Sometimes this has a waxy or yellow appearance. Yeah, it can, excuse me, it can smell also. Okay. Oily skin, prone to blackheads. Okay. I'm gonna say blackheads, whiteheads, they're all comedones. Open comedones, papules, pustules, prone to acne, can develop seborrhea, and this is too much sebum. So you'll think there's a flakiness, but there could be a flakiness with too much sebum. So like waxy almost when it comes up off the scalp or around the hairline, eyebrows area. Combination skin, most of the time you have something going on around the perimeter, then you have something that's going on in the T-zone area. Okay. Larger pores in the T-zone, that's the forehead, nose, and chin. And the pores become smaller toward the edges of the face. So around the perimeter, the pores become smaller, which means 9 times out of 10, you're going to have dry skin around the hairline, jaws, ears, and then you're going to have oily skin in the middle, that T-zone across the forehead, nose, lips, things of that nature. Okay, so that's going to be combination. Usually dry is around the perimeter and oily is in the front. What do we have to do for combination? We may have to use treatments from both areas, oily and dry. Okay, also comedones. Okay, now we're talking about whiteheads, clogged and enlarged pores in the center of the face, flakiness on the cheeks and temples. This person needs a good facial, a good mask. Also, it needs a good cleansing. Okay, major, probably a double cleansing. I will probably do microdermabrasion treatment. Okay, so get rid of the flakiness. And I would use a combination of a clay mask and a sheet mask. Sheet mask added hydration, the clay mask gonna be for that T-zone area that really pull that sebum out. So we will opt for a customized mask. Any questions? Okay, let's
No.
highlight. Great, thank you. Highlight a study area. Skin types determined by how oily or dry the skin is, all right? Or if it's easily inflamed, okay? So sensitive skin, all of these could have conditions related to it, okay? But remember, there's only 4 skin types. Highlighting, normal skin type is not too dry, not too oily. In yellow, all right. It's everybody's goal to make sure you balance the skin out and give it a great appearance. We look at dry skin. We got to really be careful with dry skin because dry skin can crack as well, and it could be an opening to bacteria. Skin is the biggest organ, but also skin protects everybody else. So you got to make sure there's no cuts and wounds or anything. And if there are cuts and wounds, you need to already think that that's a way that bacteria can get in and cause infection. So we be real careful about the legs, real careful about the hands and arms when we're getting cuts, especially when you get older. Okay. So you want to make sure your older clients their skin stays moisturized, all right, because you don't want their skin to dry out, get dehydrated so much it cracks, and then it becomes an opening for something major. Alpidic, okay, this is the common term for dry skin. Dry skin lacks sufficient lipid activity, and lipid is oil. So if you don't see oil, it's lipid, okay, and does not have visible pores. So the pores are very small. We just learned that the pores are very small. We also know in dry skin, it's not a lot of oil production, okay? But what happens, we need to make sure that we include or incorporate oil and also water, because lack of oil eventually turns into lack of water, and we do not want the skin dehydrated. And you can get dehydrated skin on any type of skin as well. Oily skin, we get this shine, okay? So now dry skin did not produce enough. Oily skin produced too much sebum. Okay. It can, with the larger pores, increase signs of aging. Okay. So no matter what kind of melanin you have, the larger pores can increase signs of aging. Okay, because they can be clogged. Sometimes people thought things were moles, and they absolutely were not. Okay. So make sure in oily skin, you want to make sure there's a great cleansing and do extractions. Extractions will be necessary. You want to make sure their jaws and cheeks, those particular areas, forehead, chin area are always clean, dry as much as possible. There are certain oils that we're not called comedogenic, blackheads and whiteheads. Stick with those. We went over those a couple of weeks ago. But hydration is going to be it. This particular person has to have a clay mask. We can come back behind with a jelly mask for hydration, but we first got to get the excess oil out. So that's going to be cleansers, toners. Everything is going to be targeted towards oily skin. All right, and looking at a comedo. Of course, we know there's a buildup of cells in sebum. Comedos are the technical term for blackhead and whitehead. Some are open, some are closed, okay? Closed comedo is a whitehead, open comedo is a blackhead. Let me tell you the difference before the two before we close. Open comedone, or open comedo, being a blackhead, it has set there longer, okay? With it setting there longer, it's darker. The oxygen has started to turn it dark. It gets darker the longer that it sits. And so when you look at a blackhead versus a whitehead, a blackhead has started to live, move in. A blackhead has started to move in, and in moving in, it has now caused an indentation in the skin. Remember, I told you the more oil that's being pumped and put into the follicle, the pore is going to expand. Well, that oil has now mixed with dirt and just your everyday byproduct of being out in the air and what your body is producing, products from your the residue from lotions, creams, things of that nature. All of that now comes together and creates comedo. Okay. And with the blackheads, it's open, it sits there. So as that little pore expanded because of extra oil, now that blackhead has a place to just call itself home, and it will sit there and expand as long as you let it sit there. So I had people that have small blackheads, and I've had people that have large blackheads. Literally, people who thought it was just a mole, okay? But it was a blackhead. It just got really, really comfortable. All right. And the longer it sits, the more oxygen hits it, it becomes darker. The open comedo is the whitehead. When you see the whitehead, it has not been there long. So that's the best state to do extractions because it had been there long and you're catching it before it has a time to settle in. All right. So whiteheads, when you see them around on someone's face, go ahead and grab those out. It hadn't been there long. Blackheads may take longer to come out because they kind of made a home. You're gonna need the steam, and what the steam does is softens the skin, softens the pore, and the steam pulls things to the surface. All right, so the steam is going to help you with that blackhead. It's going to soften and then it's going to pull it to the surface. Whether you got a steamer machine or hot towels, it will do the same thing. Okay, it's going to soften the skin and that heat is going to pull things to the surface. All right. Looking at combination skin, as I told you before, the T-zone tends to be oily and the perimeter tends to be dry. Okay, and so you will need to make sure when you combine these two, use the correct proper products, combination products. All right, and be prepared to do extractions in that T-zone area because the nose and forehead can have it big with blackheads, okay? Also the cheek areas. So you'll want to make sure that's super good as well. For clients who are combination skin and they need a microdermabrasion, you're really gonna probably do an extra pass in the forehead T-zone area just simply because of the oily skin. So you want to get as much as that buildup off, and that is called you're purifying the pore. You're detoxing the pore by pulling all of that up to the surface. Okay. All right. I told you guys to start working on your check-in. Today, you're going to finish those check-ins and you're going to add 10, 11, and 12 to your check-in questions. 10, 11, and 12 to your check-in questions. All right. The skin conditions. Please bookmark, and I'm going to bookmark it here. 751. It says many internal and external factors affect the skin's condition. This is where now your expertise is starting to come in. This is also where your continuation from your consultation picks up. Okay. Looking at a person's skin, hair, and nails, they're all on the same system. So the same questions you would ask for hair, you'll rework that and ask it as well for skin. They're on the same system. So what happens to one happens to them all. Okay. And so when we look at diet, stress, poor lifestyle choices, hormones, aging, vitamin deficiency, pollution, poor skin hygiene, and UV exposure all play a part in the healthiness of the skin. How it looks, it all plays a part. So diet, stress, yes. Sometimes diets are great for people, but sometimes diets are not good for people. And sometimes we see it first in our skin. And then we have stress, poor lifestyle choices. So lifestyle choices, we think of smoking and drinking and things of that nature. Let me tell you something, and you still, everybody's adult, do what you want to do. But smoking and drinking adds age to your skin. It wears your kidneys, it wears your organs out. Okay, makes them have to work harder. And then also it ages your skin. We normally go through every 10 years as a definite photo journaling, photo aging. But just think of drinking and smoking, how you would cause that aging to come in earlier than 10 years. So you have individuals who are 30 and they're 40 and they look 20. We see that all the time. Okay. They get down to 60 and 70 years old. You're like, no way, you're over 40. You look amazing. Those individuals have really taken care of their cells, their bodies. But when it comes to skin, you really need to say, okay, do I want to look 10 years older? And the quickest way of looking 10 years older is abusing the body. Okay. Poor lifestyle choices, alcohol, smoking. And let me tell you, when you smoke, you're using the small muscles around the mouth. all right? Whether you're blowing or whatever you're doing, using those small muscles. That you use them a lot. That's the first thing that you start to see fine lines and wrinkles around the mouth. Okay. And you'll usually see a loss of elasticity, fine lines around the hairline, around the eyes, and um, under the eyes, you may see bags or discoloration. All of that causes premature aging. Okay. Premature aging. Smoking breaks down your collagen and your elasticity. So the natural stuff that keeps you plump, that keeps you looking young, smoking breaks that down. Okay. Alcohol gets into the pores and it becomes a poison to the skin. All right. So just sharing that with you because you're going to have younger clients. You're going to have clients come in and deal with certain things. And it may just be you to have that opportunity to tell them, hey, that you're speeding up your lifespan. Okay. Whereas you're supposed to be growing gracefully, you're speeding up your lifespan by doing all this immature or having poor lifestyle choices. We'll say that. But please do your work, your homework on poor lifestyle choices. You can't tell clients, we cannot tell clients what to do, but we can inform them. Okay, we can inform them. Hormones is a big thing that throws our skin off. All right, especially those individuals dealing with perimenopause, menopause, and PCOS. Having surgeries like hysterectomies and things like that literally throws our hormones off. So there will be a period of time that you're trying to get back where it needs to be. Just continue getting facials, and then once you feel like you're back where you were, you can start any other advanced treatments. But if you're doing hormone replacements and all other hormones medication, normally your body needs 3 to 6 months to get adjusted to any medication. So if you're constantly changing medication, you're always going to see these issues within 3 to 6 months. You're going to see problems with the hair, the skin, and the nails because we're just not adjusted. And really, I want to say 3 months. We're just not adjusted to medication and we keep changing. Forms of birth control, okay, becomes an issue as well. And birth control is considered a medication. So whether it's an implant or a pill or shot, it is a medication. Please make sure that you break that down on their consultation form because many individuals do not share that they have birth control implants. They don't consider it a medication. Okay. Natural aging, vitamin deficiency, so you're not getting the vitamins you need. Pollution, again, if that's where someone works at home, we can't do anything about it, but we can talk about the preserving of the skin. Um, Maybe some different types of windows and things of that nature. Poor skin hygiene, they sleep in makeup, they don't get a facial, never had one, sleeping in makeup, and they just do what they do. And UV exposure. Everybody must wear sunscreen. If you don't wear sunscreen, what is wrong with you? It doesn't matter that your skin is darker and it has a natural UV protectant. You can still burn. Even so, everybody on the face of this earth, no matter what dispatcher you are, should still be wearing sunscreen. Okay? Still be wearing sunscreen. Um, so we'll make sure, let's put that. And you got to make sure you're aware of all of the problems and issues before you start. I'm putting this in yellow, some common skin conditions. And this is for your memory bank. Okay. Dehydration. Dehydration is lack of water. Dry skin and dehydrated skin are not the same thing. Dry skin lacks oil. Dehydrated skin lacks water. Your body cannot go without oil and water. All right. Hyperpigmentation. This is dark spots. So it's the pigment have come together to create these little spots. Hyperpigmentation. What you have to do as an esthetician or cosmetologist, take it to the source. If you have pure vitamin C, pure vitamin E, I'm going to rub it on that area with a dark spot or whatever the issue of the skin is. And then I'm going to put my UV light on top. My UV light is going to push that product deeper into the skin where I need it the most. So my new skin can produce an even tone color. Okay, sensitized, sensitive skin. Many individuals have sensitive skin, and it is a common skin condition. Adult acne, didn't get acne until you got older. And then also there's mass acne. You know, many people did not get acne until they went through pandemic. All right. Extensive aging caused by sun exposure and the environment and problems related to hormone fluctuations. Where now we're talking about the environment causing you aging. So what if you're doing something to yourself and then you still out in the sun? You're aging your skin, you're aging yourself. Okay. Most individuals, you look at their décolleté, you can tell a series of how well they take care of themselves or their aging. Okay. So that's what we're going to study. Continue reading the chapter. We're going to pause at 7:51 and complete the check-in 10, 11, 12. You're going to add it to your other check-ins from Monday. All right. Over the weekend, for those that had to make a product, I do want to see you make the product. And I want you to call me so I can nurse you through it. Okay. Want to make sure you, one, make the oil and the other one make the rose water. And if you forget what I was stating about the product, please don't hesitate to give me a call. Hold on, I'm closing live stream. Let me stop share.